This unit is use date, time, and time formulas. It is the third unit on the advanced formulas module, which I can't believe I'm working my way through. Part of the admin advanced trail, which I doubly, triply can't believe I'm working my way through. My name is Jeff Alhadeff. If I come across something that seemed confusing to me, and that I gave a little bit extra explanation to or got tripped up on, I'll link to it in the description below, so you can look at the description and then jump ahead to that part. Otherwise, you're welcome to join me as I try to work my way through this unit. A couple of words, though, before I get going. Number one, this says this is going to take about 25 minutes. The previous unit also said it was going to take about 25 minutes and took me an hour and 20 over like 2 days. So like, just if you really want to sit through this, that's really fine, but it might be long. Number one. Number two, it's December 24th in the afternoon. I'm Jewish, so like we'd go out for Chinese food tonight if we had a restaurant in town, but like it just means that the kids are home from school, and it's highly likely that the dog's going to start barking at people as they show up across the street. Our little 20-pound cockapoo keeping us safe from the terrors of the universe. Okay, on we go. After completing this unit, you'll be able to describe what the date time, and time types are. Explain the difference between date time, and time types. Say that 10 times fast. Describe use cases for formulas with the date time, and time return types. Create a formula using the date time, and time types. See, it's got a beat to it. I found it eventually. Introduction to date time, and time formulas. When it comes to managing, when it comes to managing your organization, date and date time fields are great for showing the birth date of a contact, the age of a case, or the date and time an account was created. Okay, it's because we're able to show the birth date of a contact that you're able to get emails from any business that you've ever done business with over the previous year. And on your birthday, they send you a notice that says, "Happy birthday. We're wishing you the best. Come shop with us." They don't say that explicitly, but it's implicit, like we liked your business. And to me, there's nothing sadder than wanting to get like a call from your grandmother who's deceased like 20 years ago, and instead you get emails from businesses. So, yeah. But that's not what we're learning about now. Or the date and time an account was created. Time fields are great for tracking clock times, like business hours. You can use a formula to display the current time, current date or time, or find the difference between the two dates or times. This cross-object formula, for example, displays the date and time an account was created as a date-time value on the page of its associated case. All of the words in that sentence were English, but not all of them made sense to me. A cross-object formula. What are the two objects that we're crossing? Date and time. Is date one object and time is another? I don't think those are objects. Of its associated case. Where did this case come in? There was a case created for this? Anyhow. A cross-object formula. Okay, so here's the form. This will display the date and time an account was created as a date time value on the page. Oh, okay. I got it. What we're saying is, if you created a case and you want to know when the case was created, you could do Well, this is the account object. And this is the create date like function or something. Okay, I'm confused. A cross-object formula displays data from one object on a different object. In this case, we're showing the create a date of the object, of the account object on the case object. Members of your organization can see a formula that displays or references a cross-object field even if they do not have access to the object that the field is on. For more information about cross-object formulas, see Tips on Building Cross-Object Formulas. A date is represented either as a date or date time value. A date value stores a year, month, and a date. A date time value stores a year, month, day, and time. The time is stored as GMT, but displays in the time zone of the user viewing it. It's important to keep time zone conflicts in the back of your mind as you work with date time values. In formulas, I don't know why is this date / time? I wish somebody would explain that to me. Is this the way that it's displayed? We first show the date, then we show the time. Time zones mix-ups easily can cause logical errors if your formula fields and misinformation in your organization. Let me read that again the way it was supposed to be read the first time. Time zone mix-ups can easily cause logical errors in your formula fields and misinformation in your organization. Two separate things. One thing causes two problems. If you're subtracting two date values, the result is a whole number. If you're subtracting two date time values, the result is a decimal value representing the number of days, hours, and minutes. For example, if the difference between two date time values is 3.52, there are 3 days, 12 hours, which is half of a day, and 29 minutes, 0.2 of 1 day, between the two dates. Note: a time value stores the hours, minutes, and seconds in milliseconds. Notice the milliseconds follow a period, not a colon. A date value is like a time value. Here we go. This is the important information in the note. A date value is like a date time value without the date. That didn't help. However, a time value's precision is in milliseconds. A date time value's precision is in seconds. Okay. So that was the important piece of information that we put in a note, which this must have been written a while ago because this isn't according to our guidelines now. You're supposed to put important information, not in a note. So like notes are supposed to be like, by the way, not like, hey, this is super important. Here is the core definition between these two things that we've been talking about for, a bunch of words that you've been confused on for 4 paragraphs now. Sorry, I'm feeling sassy. If you're subtracting two time values, the result is in milliseconds, and it's always positive. We're sure of that. Time field C has the value of 1 p.m. and time field 2. Time field 1 has the value of 10 p.m. and time field 2 has the value of 9 p.m. Time field 1 custom object minus time field 2 custom equals 36. Where's the commas here? 3.6 million. Number of seconds. Okay, I'm not going to do that math in my head. The result is never a negative number. Subtraction is elapsed time between two time values using a 24-hour clock. Common date time and time functions. Common date, datetime, and time functions and operators. Salesforce provides several functions that allow you to work with date, time, and time values more easily. You can convert a date time to a date value using date value function, which takes a date time or text value and returns a date. Similar date time value takes a date or text value and returns a date time value with a time set to midnight GMT. And you can convert date time or text values to the time value using the time value function. Say you want a custom formula. I want a custom formula to display the date of March 17th, 2015. You could use the date function to convert a day, month, and year into the desired date value. You want a custom field to display the date, March 17, 2015. Okay, so if you put that in, it will display that date in the field. Okay. Datetime value is another method for converting datetime value corresponding to March 17th, 2015 at 5 p.m. GMT datetime value. And then we give all this information in this format. You could also use date value, which takes a string, just text, and returns a date value. So we have the date time, and date. Okay. So there are 3 functions that we're going to learn in this unit. When it comes to managing your organization, date and time are really important. Help give you all sorts of great information. There are 3 types of formulas that we're going to learn about in this unit. Date, date time, and time formulas. Before we get into that, let's cover some of this information. Note, datetime value takes either a date or a text value with a format YYY, -MD, -DD, and a time in GMT. If your input value is outside the valid range, such as February 29th in a non-leap year, or month greater than 12, your formula field shows error. Great. One of the things I've also noticed is that and it seems like in the admin advanced trail here, we're now we're not saying do this to make it happen. We're just here it is. If you want to go practice this in a field, you want to add a custom field to some object somewhere, go, have at it, buddy. But we're just otherwise showing this. We're not actually telling people to practice it, which makes sense. At this point, people should be able to create fields. I think I can. Yeah, so date and date time. That's the type of a field. And there's time fields. So these are the 3 fields that we're talking about. I mean, I know that, but I wish they connected the dots a little bit more for me on this one. Yeah, so just to reiterate what I just said, basically what we're talking about here in this unit is 3 different formulas, and I think, I'm not sure about this yet, that these correspond to these 3 different fields. We have the date field, the date time field, and then the time field at the bottom here. when you're creating a new field and relationship on an object. So yeah, that's what's going on, and we're actually not guiding you through on actually how to do it. We're just, the unit's just telling you this is what you got to do. So okay, so we have all these different options here. How to convert different formats of data information into different things. Okay, use the date, date time, and time types in formulas. One of the simplest date values is finding the number of days. I think I might have skipped some, but that's okay. I'm just going to keep moving on. One of the simplest uses for date values is finding the number of days between two dates. When you subtract one date value from another, you get the difference in days as a number. If you want to find out how many days there are between today's date and the create date of an account, for example, use today minus date value, create a date. I'm just thinking back. I think I'm right on this, that you correspond to these fields. I mean, it could be that you could just put these formulas in to just a blank field, and then it will just return that result. Note, be careful to subtract only past dates from future dates. If you reverse the formula, it would return a negative value. Notice that we used date value to convert create date, a date time value, to a date value, allowing us to subtract create date from today, because you can only subtract things that are similar to each other. Like, it's like doing fractions conceptually, or they're common. Okay, date and date time values aren't compatible. You can't subtract date and from a date time. You can't subtract a date from a date time. God, it's tiring of saying. Or a date time from a date without converting one of those values. You can also add days to a date to create a formula that returns also adds days to a date to create a formula that returns a date 3 days after today's. In setup, use the quick find box to find the object manager. See, we have to tell people that still. In the accounts and field and relationships, click new, select formula, click next. Okay, so we're doing a formula type. I was totally wrong, maybe. For field label, enter future date. Select date and click next, and enter the following formula. Select date. No, okay, so it's a formula type that you're then selecting the date, time, and date, time, and time on the formula field. Got it. Future date. There it is. Voila. When adding days to a date, the Salesforce ignores numbers after the decimal point. So today plus 3 is equivalent to today plus 2.4, and today plus 2 is equivalent to 2.9. Okay, that's good to know. Pretty simple, right? Yeah. Things get a little more complex. Great. Just what I was hoping for. When you add business days to a date for this formula, we use the case function to add 3 business days to today. Case is similar to if in some ways. The key difference is that if checks just one logical argument while a case goes through a series of statements called cases. Case expression, case 1, result plus 1, case 2, result plus 2, result 2, did I say plus 2? Case 2, result 2, else result compares expression to case 1. If they're equal, it returns result 1. If they're not, it compares expression to case 2, and so on. If the expressions don't match any case, this statement returns else result. This makes a lot of sense, actually. I'm totally sarcastic right now. Case is useful, I believe you, for conditional statements that have many possible outcomes. Although you can use usually the same thing with nested if statements, case makes complicated formulas easier to read and understand. I sure hope so. We're going to use case to write a formula that adds 3 business days to today. The first step when working with case is to think of cases. Our formula could encounter a few different situations. If today is a Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, adding 3 business days is the same as today plus 3. If today is a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, adding 3 business is the same as today plus 5. 3 business days and 2 weekend days. If today is a Saturday, adding 3 businesses is the same as, okay, what about holidays? For formulative work, we have to know the day of the week. Today is, use the to weekday function to find the day for the week. Our case statement then decides on the outcome based on the day of the week of today. Our final formula looks like this. Oh, simple. All right, this was straightforward. Case. So it's today. This makes no sense to me. Our case statement then decides on the outcome based on the day of the week. Our final formula looks like this, just like that, which doesn't make sense to me still. You can use variations of this formula to add any number of business days to date. No matter how many business days you're adding, there's a maximum number of 7 cases, 1 for each day of the week. You can perform operations on time values too. Oh, goody. The unit for adding or subtracting time values is milliseconds. When time has the value of 5 p.m., time field is this, time field is that. Plus 6, minus 6. Okay, fine. Time field does not include a date, so adding 24 hours to time value is the same as adding 1 hour. The clock restarts after 24 hours. Remember, okay, it doesn't go forward, just time. As you can subtract one time field from another in a formula, the result is in milliseconds, and the result is never a negative number. For example, when calculating the number of hours a business opening, use the following formula. Because the duration is in what, milliseconds? Is that what we said? Time value is in milliseconds. You can set up time-based validation rules too. The following formula checks to make sure that a shift is at least 4 hours. Because we all think in milliseconds. Date, time, and time examples. This formula finds the last day of a month by subtracting a day from the first day of the following month. It uses the add months function to calculate each month before the subtraction. The last day of a month by subtracting the first day from the following month. Why would I want to do that? Why don't you tell me why I'd want to do that? This is a cool... This formula finds the number of business days between today and date. Before today, first the formula finds the number of business days between today and a known Monday in the past, in this case, January 8th, 1900. we divide the number by 7 and use the floor to convert it from... Why floor? Did floor ever come up yet? Have I just been spaced? Okay. We then multiply by 5 to convert it from weeks to business days. The formula finds the difference between that amount and the number of business days since date custom and the same reference Monday. The result is the number of business days between today and a past date. And it looks like that. This formula adds a number of years to date, which automatically handles leap years. That's cool, but... Note, add months. Considers the last day of a month when performing math operations. So, when you add a month to a date that is the 30th and the last day of the month, the result is the last day of the next month. The resulting value could be the 31st. Similarly, February 28th and a leap year plus 1 month is March 31st. This formula on cases checks if reps are calling customers at a preferred time. The preferred time field represents the hour in which the contact is specified they prefer to be contacted for outbound cases. If and this is cool to be able to check if reps are actually doing what we said they're doing, to write a formula to check that, but common errors with date, time, and time formulas. Number 1, having a liberal arts major, try to figure this stuff out. Number 2, converting between date, time, and time. The date, time, and time data types are not interchangeable. If it's written to return a date, time, a formula with date return type won't work. My brain's gone soft. To convert between date, time, and time, use the built-in functions like date value, time value, and time value. That's right. Remember that today returns the current date as a date value, while now returns the current date as the time and time value. And time now returns the current date and time as the time value. This makes no sense to me. It's like so much information overload. Working with time zones. Look, there's it's just a quiz. So good. I could actually pass it even with just 25 points. Date, time, and time values always display in the time zone of the user who is using them. Date, time values are converted to and stored as GMT when a record is saved, and then converted again when user outside of GMT views them. When you convert a date to a date time, the time is always midnight GMT. Be sure to consider time zones when converting a date time value with text. When you convert a date time to text, it returns the time in GMT, indicated by a Z. At the end of the value, text always generates a text value with a time in GMT, not in the zone of your organization. Time values have no associated locale or a time zone and are not converted between users in different time zones. When you convert a date time to the time using time value, the GMT value is returned. Whatever. Leap years and invalid dates. Oh, whatever. When converting date to date time values or adding years, months, or days to a date time, make sure that your result is still a valid date. For example, if your formula has the result of June 1st, 2015, the formula field displays error. Was this similarly? If your formula returns February 29th, 2013, a non-leap year, the field displays an error. Ensure that your formulas account for leap years and the varying lengths of months. Made it. Before I leave this unit in history forever, I would just like to say that the main thing that I got out of this, which should have just been obvious to any sane human by this point, is that what we're talking about is the formula data type and not the options down here. That was what I completely messed up on. And then Here, there's formula return types, and there's the date, time, and it would have been marvelous if that was explained at the beginning of this unit. Although we don't get everything that we'd like in life, it's not a work. But here we go. I'm going to try to take this quiz. And I don't care if I don't pass it with a lot of points, because it was hard. And that might have sounded overly defeatist of me. But, okay. 1 wrong answer. That's not bad. Future date from a past date. I mean, 50 points. That's 25 more than I was expecting for this unit.